Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of Healed and Chilled. And in today's episode, I decided to answer a question that a lot of parents always ask. So, parents, of course, are always asking me, well, how do I establish confidence within my child? And I definitely resonate with that question, but it's also flawed on some level because, to be honest, the first level of establishing confidence in your child is establishing confidence within yourself, because your children are more likely to do what you do versus them doing what you tell them. Okay, so for example, there are parents who will tell their child how pretty they are and how beautiful they are and yada yada, but then in the same breath will look at themselves in front of the child and comment on how unattractive they are or how overweight or whatever it might be you are as the parent. And to someone else, it's like, okay, well, I'm not even talking about my child. I just lifted my child up. But the example you're setting is that you feel uncomfortable in your body. So no matter what you tell your child, you are still showcasing insecurity to them. So even if they might not be insecure about their looks, you are operating from insecurity. So you are teaching them how to be insecure. Children are more likely to do what they see you do versus what you say to do. And a lot of parents, especially with that old school mind, will be like, well, don't do as I say. Excuse me. They'll say like, don't do as I do it as I say. But that's not even logical. Like parents that will complain how dirty their kids are, but you're dirty too, you know? So once you establish better habits, your child will naturally establish those habits too. So, if you can clearly recognize and see in your child that they are insecure or insecure in a specific area, the first step, honestly, is to analyze within yourself and see if you are displaying insecurities in that same thing, because your children are reflections of you. And outside of your children, anything that you can see in someone else is typically a sign. Not saying that you have that thing or that you are that thing, but it's a sign that you feel impacted by it. So if you really, really feel like your child is insecure, the best thing to start with is see, okay, are you insecure in that area or anywhere else? And then work on developing and healing yourself. The next way that you can help your child establish confidence is by allowing them to teach you how to do stuff. So when they say, oh, guess what? I just learned that humans breathe oxygen. Instead of shutting them down, like, yeah, of course humans breathe oxygen. Everybody knows that. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing that, allow them to explain to you, okay, well, why is that cool? Or why do we need oxygen? And then, okay, we breathe oxygen. And then what do we breathe out? And allow them to teach you those things, because you are showing them that you're interested in what they have to say, just as a bare level basis. The subconscious mind hears, oh, this person is interested in what I have to say. And when people are interested in what you have to say, you feel better about what you're saying. You feel better in general. And then that also develops confidence. So allow them to teach you things. If there's a new game that you guys are learning, let them read the directions and let them say, okay, step one, do this. Step two, you don't always as the parent have to be the one that's in charge of everything, have to be the one that's making all the decisions, have to be the one that's, okay, well, we're going to do this just because I said so. But then you expect your child to have confidence, but you've never even given them the opportunity to practice. So definitely give them the opportunity to practice displaying their confidence with you in a way that it's easy, it's simple, and you can do it anywhere. Show me, how do I tie my shoe? I forgot, especially if you have a little child. How do I tie my shoe again? But I know you're smart and you can help me. And then that's another way. That's a third way, is affirm in them how smart they are. Affirm in them how wonderful and amazing they are. Like when they have a good idea, of course, acknowledge that the idea was good, but then let them know I never doubted that you had a good idea in the first place. Like one of my students, she always has new ideas for like random stuff. Like she'd be like, "Oh, Coach Yana, did you know?" And da 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 da. And why don't we try this and this and that? And or I just had a new idea about this thing. And so I'll even tell her, like, I'm not even shocked that you had another good idea because all of your ideas are wonderful and you're just so smart. So this is another good idea, yes, but like, I'm not even shocked that you had a good idea because you always have good ideas, you know? And so when I said that, you could see she sat up straighter, her nose kind of wiggled a little bit, and she literally sat up straighter, like that really happened. And that's because I've already established in her that I believe in her. I've already established in her that she has smart ideas. So now she believes it and she can receive the compliment. So I'm very, 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 very intentional and heavy on the compliments. I'm very light on critiques and adjustments, especially because my role is not to discipline children. My role is to guide them. And I can acknowledge that sometimes children might be feeling like a brat or whatever that day, but I allow them to do that because they're children. If anybody is allowed to have a bad day or act like a brat for a little bit, it's a child. You know, if we're talking about grown people, we can talk about it, but there's a lot of grown people who act like children when they get upset and they throw temper tantrums. So a child should be allowed to express displeasure if an adult can do it. Another way you can develop confidence in a child, and this one is really controversial, but to me, you should allow your child to defend themselves against you. If you feel like your child communicates in a disrespectful way, perhaps analyze how you communicate to them. Because if you are disrespectful to your child and you call them names or you yell at them and curse at them, how could you expect them to express themselves in a healthy way when you don't even express yourself in a healthy way? That goes back to set the example you want them to have before you expect them to meet that standard. Your standard for your child is higher than your standard for yourself, and you're grown, and you expect your child to be able to handle it. Children need to be able to express when they don't like something, express when they feel disrespected, express when they feel wronged. And they should be able to do that in a healthy way because then they'll become a healthy, fully functioning adult. We have to remember children are only children for a certain amount of time. The purpose of being a child is to grow up and become an adult. And if you do not allow your child to practice expressing themselves when they're displeased, when they're happy, when they feel disrespected, when they feel respected, if they're not able to properly express themselves when they are feeling emotions, they will be emotionally unstable and immature down the line. They might have a bad temper. They might be a crybaby. They might have all of these things because they never had the opportunity to express their emotions. They might become a doormat because they'll see self-defense as, oh, I'm going to get hit upside the head because my relative doesn't like what I have to say. Or it's okay for me to be lied on because when my parent misinterpreted and lied on me and then I got in trouble, I wasn't allowed to stand up for myself. So that subconsciously programs that your needs come last and what you think doesn't matter. And you don't have a right to stand up for yourself. Or it can turn into an angry child who doesn't know how to control themselves because they always had to fight and yell to be heard. So when I say like a child should be able to defend themselves against you, you as an adult are not always right. Just because you're the older person in the situation, it doesn't mean you're right. You being the older adult doesn't give you the right and authority to just be mean to your child just because you had a bad day. And sometimes you're wrong with what you're saying. I can think of plenty of times where the adults in my situation were wrong, loud and wrong, and I got in trouble behind something that I didn't even do or behind something that they misinterpreted. And children should be allowed to express that. And if you cannot contain yourself based on what a child says, that says more about you than it does about the child. A lot of adults are traumatized children in adult costumes, still living in that traumatized child life, and you are creating that same situation for your child. I always told myself when I grew up that I was going to be the person I wish I had when I was younger. I wish I had someone who told me how to process my emotions in a healthy way, how to not get so upset about small things, how to not feel like the world is crashing down when it comes to small things. And I did to some level, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. My parents, the people, everybody that was older weren't the most emotionally evolved creatures in the world. And that's just what it is. Doesn't make you bad or good. It just means that there's somewhere you can grow. And all of us have spaces that we can grow in. And emotional intelligence and emotional maturity is definitely something that most people that exist need to grow from. And if you don't, you will unintentionally pass down those same things to your children because you're not being mindful of your own self. If you allow a child to, I'm just going to be honest, if you allow a child to piss you off to the point where you're flying off the handles all the time, what you say doesn't even register anymore because you're always doing that. Just like Jim Rohn says, don't hunt a rabbit with a, what did he say? He said, don't hunt a rabbit with a cannonball. You hunt a rabbit with an arrow. You have to learn how to regulate and use the appropriate amount of emotion at the appropriate time, or what you say will lose weight because you're always going off. So no one, not even your child, will take you serious, and then you'll lose their respect. Children have to respect you, especially your children, if you want them to be confident, because the way that they respect you is going to translate in how they respect authority, how they respect adults in general, and how they end up ultimately respecting themselves. If your child doesn't respect you as a human, the chances that they're going to respect authority figures that resemble you in life is very, very slim. So, once again, outside of everything else that you can do, the biggest thing you can do for your child in terms of developing confidence is developing your own confidence first. The biggest thing you can do for their emotional intelligence is developing your emotional intelligence first. That's why they say put your mask on first if the plane is going down, because you're no help to someone else if you can't help yourself. And, if you need help, you can work with me, the Laptop Life Coach, or use other services, whatever. But, once you know better, do better. And there are people that are going to be in their feelings about this. But how about after you get out of your feelings, just recognize I'm not saying these things to be a jerk. I'm not saying these things to be mean. I'm saying it because it's true. If you are not emotionally able to contain yourself, you're setting a horrible example for your children. And then they're going to turn out just like you. Everything you don't like about yourself, you're going to pass on to them. And then they're going to have to work through it, hopefully, or else your grandkids are going to have to deal with it, and so on and so forth, because you were not able to or unwilling to address the nonsense that you walk with. And it's not easy. So I'm not trying to make it sound like, oh, it's an overnight thing. But as long as you make an effort, little by little, a little becomes a lot. And the universe, I say, like, when you learn about finances, the universe becomes more apparent. The universe operates in compound interest. So you put in a little bit of effort over years and years and years. You just keep investing that same amount over and over again. Then you reinvest your dividends. So you get that compound interest. Your wealth will explode 20, 30 years from now. Your mental health will grow so much and heal so much because of these small efforts that you make day to day to day, minute by minute, day after day, just being so aware of yourself. This is a lifestyle. Confidence, growth, continuous evolution is a lifestyle choice. And before you set a standard to your child, make sure you are meeting it. Before you hold your child to a higher standard than you hold yourself, recognize that that is a child and you are a full-grown adult. And if you can't even meet the standards that you set for your child, how dare you even come out the side of your neck and expect that from them when you don't even do it? You're not even teaching them the way you want them to be, and then you get mad that they're not meeting the standard. That's delusional. It's delusional. Doesn't make you bad, but you are delusional if you're doing that. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can evolve, you can grow, you can become the example you want for your children. And that's the main thing. when people say, oh, well, how do I establish confidence in my child? How do I do this? The first thing I always say is, well, are you confident? Because if you don't know how to establish confidence in yourself, you won't know how to establish confidence for your child. It just is what it is. You have to be confident within yourself, and then you can establish confidence within your child. You have to work on yourself first. Put your mask on first, and then everything else will start to work out and on its own. All right. Well, that's it for today's episode, and I will see you guys later. And I am starting to do interviews on this. If you've been following me in my journey, you know I've been doing interviews since 2020, but on various platforms, I do like artist interviews, and I've interviewed like Grammy, Emmy, Tony Award winning producers and all these kinds of things. And now I've finally found what I really, really like, and that is helping children become the best them that they can be, because we know confident children become capable adults. Okay, so if someone, or rather, if you or someone you know is really passionate about growth, expansion, evolution, and trying to become their best self in every way, shape, or form, then definitely hit me up. And if you or a child that you love needs help with confidence, and you are still someone developing your confidence, or you're looking for someone to add to your village, then please visit thelaptoplifecoach.com, because once again, confident children become capable adults. See you next time.